Hey, yo, what's good, my third-rate duelist? The brand new ban list just dropped, and you already know this only happens twice a year and it's shaking up the entire game. And if you plan on playing Draco Tail in this new format, this is the combo guide you need to see. We're breaking down the must-know plays, which I'm including the classic branded package with the disgusting branded fusion, which is now at 2. Being able to go into cards like Mirror Jade for massive board-breaking power, or cards like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is very simple by just having cards like branded fusion in the deck. And stick around for the end of the video, because I'm showing you Draco Tail's most toxic combo, where we Dragon Lock our opponent and shut down special summoning completely. So let's just get straight into the combos. So for the first combo, I'm going to show you what happens when we draw Draco Tail, Lucius, and Branded Fusion, plus any other 3 cards. For now, I'm just going to keep them as hand traps because the deck runs nothing but hand traps. So of course, we're going to have a few in our hand. So aside from basic Draco Tail lines, which I've done on other videos, Branded Fusion can be used to get us an Omni Gate on the field before we even get into our Draco Tail stuff. So we're going to go ahead and activate our Branded Fusion. That's going to go ahead and send our King of the Swamp and our Fallen of Albaz from our deck to the graveyard. That's going to special summon our Albion, the Branded Dragon, to our side of the field. Albion can then go ahead and activate, banishing our Fallen of Albaz and our King of the Swamp. And that's going to go into our Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Very simple way to get into Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. And we have a Albion on the field as well. So we are now hand trap proof and have peace of mind to go ahead and build our Draco Tail boards. You could also go into Mirror Jade if you wanted to have the banish slash nuke on your side of the field. For now, I just have the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon because if we can go into it, why not? From here, we're off to the races. We're going to go ahead and normal summon our Draco Tail Lucius. So Lucius is going to go ahead and add us our Draco Tail Phimina from our deck to our hand. So now we can go ahead and activate our Phimina, sending it to the graveyard. Then we can go ahead and use our Lucius and then any of our hand traps and use both of those to go into our Draco Tail or Thalion. And then since we used Draco Tail Lucius as fusion material, we can go ahead and set our Rahu Draco Tail from our deck to our side of the field. I'm going to keep it face up just so you guys know it's there. Then our Thalion can go ahead and add our Phimina. So now we're going to go ahead and activate our Rahu Draco Tail using Phimina in our hand. And then we're going to go ahead and send our Draco Tail Urgula from our deck to the graveyard. And this is going to go ahead and go into our Draco Tail Gulamel. So Gulamel gets special summoned. We can then activate our Phimina and our Urgula from our graveyards to go ahead and set 2 Draco Tail Spiral Traps from our deck to our side of the field. And of course, we're going to go ahead and set our Draco Tail Horn and our Draco Tail Flame. So again, keep them face up just so you guys know they're there. Then we can go ahead and activate our Urgula from the graveyard to put it back inside of our deck. And we're going to go ahead and add our Phimina to our hand. So with this end board, we have 2 blanks in our hand. Could be used for our Red Eyes Dark Dragoon to discard 1, have an Omni Negate. We have a Disruption with Flame, Disruption with Horn, Gulamel, and our Thalion on board. And again, Phimina on our opponent's turn will hopefully can activate and going into some crazy other fusion monsters. You can go into Winda. More than likely, you'd probably go into another Arthalion. Hopefully getting back hand traps back to your hand. If you utilize them, you can go ahead, reset the hand traps back to your hand. That's one of the really cool things that the deck can do is utilize hand traps and then go into Arthalion and then put the hand traps back from your graveyard back to your hand to go ahead and utilize them again. That's why cards like Effect Veiler are really good in this deck. Again, having the trap cards, having access to them every turn, which also gets you 2 additional draws. Again, this deck is pretty crazy, and I feel like it's easily the second best deck next to Yummy in the new meta going forward. For this next combo, I'm going to show you what happens if we have Phimina and then our Blazing Cartesia. Haven't really gotten into this card, but I feel like this is a super powerful card that you definitely want to be adding to your pure or branded versions of Draco Tail. So again, we have 3 blanks in our hand. I'm gonna just say they're hand traps, and then Phimina and Blazing Cartesia in our hand. This is gonna be honestly one of the most toxic end boards that Draco Tail can do. I've utilized it in my Blue Eyes videos. If we can do it with our Draco Tail stuff, why not? We don't even need the Blue Eyes cards in this deck. We just need to have a Spirit with Eyes of Blue, which Draco Tail utilizes anyways in our extra deck. So with this end board, we're going to go ahead and normal summon our Blazing Cartesia and then activate Cartesia's effect. We're going to go ahead and send our Fualos, could be any hand trap in our Phimina, from our hand to the graveyard, and that's going to go ahead and go into our Draco Tail or Thalion. That's why people usually run 2 to 3 copies in Draco Tail, just because it's another way to kind of go into your fusion monster. So really powerful card. So again, sending these 2 from your hand to go into Draco Tail or Thalion. So then Chain Link 1, we can go ahead, since we utilize 2 from the hand to go into our Thalion, put them both back into the hand. And then Chain Link 2, Phimina, since it was used for a fusion summon, we can go ahead and set our Draco Tail Rahu from our deck to our side of the field. So we're going to go ahead and set our Draco Tail Rahu right here. Then we can go ahead, since this is a spellcaster, link off our Blazing Cartesia into our Spirit with Eyes of Blue. Then we can go ahead, link both of these 2 off to go into our Heraldic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. Then we can go ahead, activate our set Rahu Draco Tail using our Phimina from our hand. and our Draco Tail Urgula from the deck to special summon our Draco Tail Gulamel. Definitely want to put it in defense mode. That's something for this specific combo. You want to put all of your monsters in defense mode. I'll show you why in a second. Then we can go ahead and activate our Draco Tail Urgula since we used it for a fusion monster to go ahead and set one of our traps. I'm just going to go ahead and prioritize our Draco Tail Horn as I feel it is one of the better ones. Again, pending your matchup, you could do either one, but I'm just going to go ahead and put Horn here for now. Then we could also put Urgula back into our deck, and then we're going to add our Femina back to our hand. So that way we're able to use Femina on our opponent's turn, and then once again Urgula was placed at the bottom of the deck. Now you pass turn and you can do typical Draco Tail stuff with Heradic, bounce itself, and an opponent's monster. And then also during the end phase, we can also add our Blazing Cartesia back to our hand. Because this card states, during the end phase, if a fusion monster was sent to your graveyard this turn, you could add this card from the graveyard to your hand. So obviously our Thalion was sent from our field to our graveyard, so we're gonna go ahead and add our Cartesia back to our hand. And then look at that, we have a hand board with a Heradic Seal, Gulamel, Draco Tail Horn, and we have our original 5 cards in our hand. Now you pass turn to your opponent, and you can do typical Draco Tail stuff with Heradic, bounce itself, and an opponent's monster. You can go into cards like Mululu, special summoning itself. Because of Heradic Seal, go ahead and bounce one of your opponent's cards. Mululu gets special summon, you can go ahead and do fusion summon stuff. But if you know, you know, and we like it toxic on this channel, so let's show off the branded stuff. We can go ahead and use our Heradic Seal on our opponent's turn. You can go ahead and bounce itself, plus one of your opponent's monsters. And Heradic can then special a dragon from the deck. We're gonna go ahead and choose to go into our Fallen of Albaz. Albaz can then discard a card and fuse using your opponent's cards, which would be best case scenario. But unlike the Blue Eyes version of the combo, we don't really need to rely on Albaz's special summon effect. Again, you can discard a card, and if your opponent had a light or a dark monster, you can go into one of your branded fusion monsters. But again, unlike the Blue Eyes version, we don't need to rely on Fallen of Albaz's special summon because our Draco Tail Femina can go ahead and discard itself. And we're going to go ahead and use our Fallen of Albaz on the field and our Blazing Cartesia. And we're going to go ahead and special summon our Sanctifier Dragon. Again, in defense mode, always in defense mode. We can then activate Sanctifier, and we can go ahead and special summon our Cartesia to our field. And we're gonna go ahead and give our opponent our Spirit with Eyes of Blue. And again, Cartesia in defense mode. And now our opponent is locked into dragons only. So obviously this is terrible in the mirror, but Malice, Ryzeal, Vanquish Soul, even though Vanquish Soul I guess isn't really a deck anymore, but mainly Yummy. This deck shuts them down, and we can still use the on-field effect of Cartesia as well. So if we had a Draco Tail card in hand, we'd definitely be able to pop off on our opponent's turn even more. But again, with just this simple combo, giving our opponent Spirit with Eyes of Blue, Dragon locks them. They're unable to special summon any monsters that aren't dragons. So again, we have all of our monsters in defense mode. We have Draco Tail Horn set. We have Cartesia to go into additional fusion summon monsters. We have 3 additional cards in our hand. And again, our opponent cannot do anything. And then we have a bunch of big body monsters, 3,000 attack, 2,800 attack, 1,500 attack, being able to go into additional cards on our opponent's turn. And again, just setting up the Dragon Lock is super toxic, super powerful. But yeah, that's it for the combo. Let me know if you guys want to see more Draco Tail branded stuff. You want to see the deck profile, I can definitely get into that as well. But for now, I think that's all I got for you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.